Okay, so here's the thing. This show has such a weird batshit premise that I'm just going to read the description real quick so we can get the formalities out of the way and, kind of sum up, like, how strange of a high concept this show is before I get to gushing all over it and why it's great. In near future Japan, with ultra low birth rates, children are treasured but monitored. Santa is banned as dangerous. One snowy December 25th, middle schooler, Kazuhige Sanda, descendant of Santa, yes, Santa, is attacked by classmate Fuyumura, who wants him to find her missing friend Ono. Santa, please find my friend. To protect children from adults, Santa decides to become, Sanda, to become Santa and fight the adults. So yeah, that's the premise of this show. Uh, just wanted to get that out of the way before we get to discussing why it's awesome. This is based on a manga by Paru Itagaki, who is most famous for Beastars. Now, unfortunately, I haven't gotten around to Beastars, even though everybody said that was brilliant. And it probably is. After watching some of this, I can believe that now. It's a very furry coded show, so I haven't gotten around to it. I kind of hesitated. Look, I'm sorry, I don't hate on the furries or anything, okay? It's just, it was a little outside my comfort zone when it comes to anime. Although I probably shouldn't talk shit because I did enjoy Trigger's furry anime that came out around the same time called Brand New Animal. I did enjoy that. So I really have no good excuse for not joining the rest of the world and watching Beastars because I heard good things about it. And yeah, after watching and binging through some of this show, I'm about 5 episodes in. There's about 7 and counting right now, so I don't think I'm 100% caught up yet, but that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I've seen enough to know that this show is great, the writing is excellent, and this manga author is exceptional. And Science Saru, the studio behind this adaptation, is fucking killing it, like they always have been lately. Much like Don to Don, they just seem to have a knack for just taking what's on the page with any good manga, even if it's a good one, and just elevating the shit out of it with the visuals and music and everything else. So this is a potential contender now for me for Best Anime of 2025. I'm not even shitting you. As weird and silly of a premise as it was, I mean, I went into this understandably thinking it was going to be kind of, just kind of a goofy, fun premise and nothing more. Well, there's so much more to Sanda than that. It actually has some pretty heavy themes. It deals with some pretty serious subject matters and does it extremely well while balancing its humor and some over-the-top violence as well. It manages to be very entertaining, but it has stuff to say, and I was sure as hell not expecting that from this. For starters, so we've got this superpowered Santa who kind of plays a heroic role. Like this boy, he basically kind of Tim Allen style starts turning into Santa. Um, Although I guess in anime terms, it's more like going Super Saiyan, but Super Santa instead. And he's kind of a heroic role because these kids, all of his classmates, like they all live in this academy. This is a future Japan where the birth rate is rapidly declining. So youth is like a valuable commodity. It's like this very treasured, valuable thing. These kids are almost worshipped because the future is so doomed. It's in such in such a bleak state that like the headmaster of this school is like a creepy dude who's like, even though he's like 92, he's right here in this image. He uses surgery and all sorts of like plastic surgery and shit to like keep himself young, to looking young, even though he's this older guy. He's like obsessed with youth. And he kind of is the embodiment of like what is wrong with this society in this show, and like how these kids are basically micromanaged. Their whole lives are micromanaged. They're treated like prized cattle essentially. They're not allowed to grow up too quickly or hit puberty too quickly or believe in anything that might lead them astray from what society wants them to be and needs them to be. Like, there's a point in the show where it's even made clear that they're not allowed to sleep. because that might lead them to like grow as they sleep, or hit puberty or something, and their lives are just very controlled. They're promised to people at a young age for future marriages that are arranged and everything. Like they're super controlled, kind of coddled, kind of spoiled, but to such a degree that they're like their lives are just predetermined. Um, so kind of creepy, kind of dark. In spite of all of the uh, weird shit and goofy shit going on with Santa Claus at the heart of the story, it kind of makes sense why he would be chosen as a symbolic metaphor in this show, as a hero that is needed, because he's kind of the ideal adult in this show. He represents, this spiritually awakened Santa kind of represents the ideal adult. That is this older guy, but like he represents like hope for the future, where it's like these kids should be allowed to grow up, to find themselves, to believe in things, and who better to represent that than Santa Claus? Why not? It kind of makes sense. As gonzo of a premise as it is, um, the show actually uses it well. How clinging to youth as this almost like godlike phase of life, uh, and keeping these kids from growing up is like kind of an evil thing. It's like Santa kind of in this show is like he's standing against that, wants these kids to break free from this prison they're in. And this principal guy kind of represents, this head of the school, he kind of represents everything that is wrong with that picture. This screwed up scenario where, yeah, these kids are just treated, more like these prized treasures rather than human beings, just a prized resource. So it's pretty cool. Like, I didn't expect the show to have such heavy themes, and they kind of resonate pretty strongly with me because it's stuff that I've thought about, about like, as somebody who kind of has some anxieties about aging and how youth is perceived in society, and the power of being perceived as younger, how you are seen in society. I think this show deals with that stuff in a pretty interesting way that I just wasn't expecting. And it resonates very strongly with me, personally, on such a level that I'm like, yeah, I think it's a big contender now for my anime of 2025. Very big contender. Just because of how deep it cuts with such a crazy premise. And on top of all that, it's just a fun show. There's fun action, there's fun animation. I love the character designs, especially. The character designs in this show and the visual aesthetics are great. The way it combines a lot of like whites and grays and deep bloody reds, literally in some cases, is really beautiful. Like, it does a lot of really good things with its color palette that are really striking. I love the character designs, the expressive character designs, these big eyes and huge mouths that these characters have. It gives the show kind of like a style that still manages to be very anime cute as always, but there's a certain like uncanny kind of strange look to the characters that I just really like. It's kind of cool, It's very stylish, very different. And Science Saru, they're famous for that. They have a lot of shows with very distinct looks that always look very different from a typical anime. And this definitely follows that for me. So it's got the great visuals. It's got even the music. The music of the show is great. They got Tomoyuki Tanaka to do the musical score. He's a famous DJ from Japan who's known for like being a big deal in the Shibuya key scene. If you've ever played like Katamari Damacy, that was kind of my introduction to Shibuya key music, and there's a little of that in here, but it's got a very like strange sounding soundtrack when it comes to the music from episode to episode that I think is really cool, and just like everything else in the show feels very distinct, very different from any anime I've seen before. So it even sounds really good. It's just a winner all around. And, it's airing at just the right time. By the time it wraps up this season, it'll probably be around Christmas or whatever. So, hey, it even works as a holiday show, I guess. Although it's definitely so much more than just a Santa Claus anime. I just want to really emphasize that. If you were thinking it's just a gimmicky show about a superpowered Santa, I mean, it has that, but it's packing a lot more thematic stuff as well that I think is handled really well. It's a very well written show. I really gotta dive into more of this manga author's work. I know she hasn't done too much prior to this. I think Beastars is really the main thing I have to go and check out when I'm done with this. But yeah, what do you guys think? Have you watched Sanda? Have you seen it? Have you, what do you think? And until next time, you get to burning and live for the passion.